Thank you, Dr. ظریف. You have covered a lot of ground, a lot of recent history. And thank you for giving us your perspective on our common history on this issue for the last several years. But as you say, how can we break the cycle of escalation? As we sit here today, diplomats in New York, your current foreign minister, Mr. Arakchi, and others are busily seeking answers to the current conundrum that we find ourselves in ahead of this deadline that could lead to the snapback of the UN sanctions. So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about how we move forward. And I would start with, I think, what is an obvious question, which is, given the circumstances, given the constraints, given what has happened up until now, what particular formula could the two sides agree upon in the next 24 to 36 hours, however long they have, to address the concerns that the E3 have, the needs that Iran has, what the IAEA is looking for, so as to provide more time and to head off a possible deeper crisis and to push off the snapback of sanctions. So if you could very briefly, I mean, what do you see, given what you know your foreign minister has been saying, what the E3 are saying, what is the formula that might move things forward in this 12th hour?
Well, I think it is important for everybody to see what would be the possibilities day after snapback. I believe it will not add to anybody's leverage. It will only make it more difficult to reach a solution. There were conditions by the EU. Minister Arakchi believes that he has met those conditions by signing an agreement with the Director General of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi, and offering to continue negotiations, which the United States broke, actually, which Israel broke, by bombing the negotiating table. So I don't know what Europe is looking for. The consequence of what Europe is doing will be only to disqualify itself as a partner in the negotiations. I think it's easily possible to move forward based on the suggestions by Iran, probably modified in the course of negotiations, provided that Europe leaves this ivory tower of self-righteousness to accept that it has been at fault. You know, when I was foreign minister, we negotiated with Europe an almost 19th century barter arrangement. And Europe was not capable of even implementing that. So Europe should not consider itself as the only group or only three countries that have observed JCPOA. They destroyed JCPOA by destroying their own commitments after Trump withdrew from JCPOA. They made twice 11 commitments to us, and they did not even implement a single one of them. They should answer to that. And instead of taking the high ground, come and look at the future and see what they would gain by doing this. Legally, they don't have any justification for snapback. Politically, they can do it. They can put pressure on countries and get a vote in the Security Council as they did. But legally and morally, they have no justification for bringing back Security Council resolutions. So I believe possibilities such as consortium, possibilities such as renewed cooperation between Iran and the IAEA, possibilities for negotiations between Iran and E3 plus Russia and China, maybe later joined by the United States. These are all possibilities on the table that could be addressed. Again, I'm not speaking as a government representative. I don't know the state of negotiations. You, Darrell, will be listening to them tomorrow, and you will hear from them what is the plan. But I'm just following it from TV news, and this is my impression.
All right. So given the difficulties, and I think it's fair to say the unlikely possibility that there will be an agreement in the next 24 to 36 hours, it looks like snapback will happen. So I wanted to ask you, we got a couple of questions in this regard. We're looking at the discussion in Tehran. There appear to be two possible ways in which the government, being pushed by some in the Majlis, might want to retaliate. One is by initiating steps to withdraw from the NPT. You mentioned that the Supreme Leader ruled that out a couple of days ago, but still there's pressure to do that. And then second, ending or slowing further cooperation with the IAEA. And let me just, before I ask you to address the question about those two things, let me note that it is hard for me to understand how initiating withdrawal from the NPT is going to assure the world that the program is peaceful. It is befuddling to understand how ending cooperation with the IAEA is in Iran's interest, because it is in Iran's interest to show that the program, what the program is doing, that Iran is not crossing weapons thresholds. So your perspectives on, as an observer, as a sharp analyst inside Iran, how will this play out in the next few days? And what is your personal opinion about whether either of those two approaches is wise and why it would not be wise? Sir.
Well, the argument of those who underscore the need for further cooperation is extremely weak now, because the cooperation, I mean, after Trump withdrew from the JCPOA, Iran fully cooperated with the IAEA for a full year, and implemented the JCPOA for a full year. If you look at the report of the IAEA in June 2019, you see that Iran continued to implement its obligations, while Europe didn't do anything, and United States obviously withdrew. So arguing that remaining committed to these international instruments in a one-sided manner does not hold a lot of persuasion here in Iran, in the public opinion and in the parliament, which has never been very friendly to JCPOA or to these agreements, because of the record, actually. I don't want to blame them. It's actually the very bad record of failure after failure of the US and Europe in abiding by their own commitments, in simply fulfilling their promises. So this is as we stand now. Now, withdrawing, or giving notice for withdrawal from the NPT does not mean building a bomb. It means that Iran does not want to engage in a one-sided agreement. I don't endorse it, but you can understand it. And it provides 90 days of negotiation time. So I believe in either case, whether Iran reduces cooperation with the IAEA or sends the notification for withdrawal, we still have time to engage in negotiations. Many in the United States say snapback is not the end of the world. By the same token, and based on the same argument, sending notification to withdraw from the NPT will not be the end of the world. I think they're far less justified in withdrawing, in sending the notification and actually reversing the Security Council Resolution 2231 than Iran is to send the notification to withdraw from the NPT based on Article 10. You know, Iranian facilities have been bombarded. Iran's agreement in good faith have been neglected and violated by the other side. So legally speaking, Iran can, in fact, whether I like it or not, and I certainly don't, Iran can, in fact, argue that it has a right under Article 10 of the NPT to send that notification. But again, if it did, we still have 3 months to negotiate.
All right. I would just reply briefly by saying just because things can be done doesn't mean they should be done. And in some quarters, especially in South Asia, some people call the Arms Control Association, and me in particular, a non-proliferation ayatollah. So I would just note that there is, in no universe do I see value in moving towards a state part of the NPT moving away from the NPT. And it would definitely reinforce the concerns that you spoke of so eloquently in the United States about Iran's malintentions with respect to the bomb. So you know that, I know that, but just I feel obliged to make that comment. But let me
but
just...
I'm sure,
yes?
I'm sure you will agree with me that withdrawing from JCPOA and moving to snapback would fall within the same argument that you just made.
We were extreme critics of the withdrawal from the JCPOA, and we have bemoaned the trajectory of events leading up to now. But we are in the situation we're in. I would also just note, I mean, you were talking about some of the reasons why Iran might back out of its commitments to cooperate with the agency. Those commitments are part of its NPT obligations, of course. And, you know, you spoke about this regional nuclear cooperation architecture. I'd like you to expand upon that a bit more for those who didn't read your piece in The Guardian. And I would just note that it seems to me it would be much more difficult to pursue something like that, which is something, as you've written, could be pursued by the states in the region under their own direction. Doesn't require the Europeans, the Americans, anybody else's permission. But it would be difficult to understand the baseline for Iran's nuclear program without a strong IAEA role in each of the countries in the region, including Iran. But if you could, Dr. ظریف, just outline very quickly how the regional consortium concept would work, how this might be a good longer-term solution and alternative to what we have tried and now looks like is not going to be the path forward, the JCPOA.
Well, I basically wrote that to provide alternatives for this very dangerous path that the Europeans and the Americans have taken. Unfortunately, no one listened. I think what can be done there is two things at the same time. Non-proliferation, a strict non-proliferation regime that would include very strict mutual monitoring, reciprocal monitoring of countries in the region by their own representatives, by a group of representatives, experts from these countries in the region to monitor every country of their obligation. This has happened between, as you know, between Argentina and Brazil. They have a mutual monitoring mechanism. This can happen in the region between all these countries. At the same time, it can include cooperation. Now, various countries in the region have various nuclear programs. Iran has the enrichment capability, the knowledge, the technology for enrichment. Others may have other abilities and expertise, and we can exchange them based on the level of expertise, financial possibilities, and other arrangements to have a consortium, not just for enrichment and for fuel, but in fact for even for fusion. I believe fusion is the future of nuclear energy, and we can in fact cooperate with Saudi Arabia and with others in the field of fusion. I was given, when I was vice president, proposals by many, including some American companies, that we can engage in a three-way cooperation with Saudi Arabia and the United States to engage in research on and, in fact, implementation on fusion. As you know, Iran's scientific base is extremely capable, not just in the area of enrichment, but in various areas from artificial intelligence, as Elon Musk has already confessed that his best engineers and programmers are Iranian. So we have a pool of know-how in Iran, a pool of technological capability, and other countries have financial capabilities, others have possibly scientific capabilities, and we can put that all together, build confidence, engage in monitoring, and at the same time insist on non-proliferation and the establishment of a zone free from weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East.
Thank you for outlining that. I would, just as a piece of advice, as a non-governmental representative, remind you that one op-ed in one newspaper is not going to convince everyone, so persistence is key, and I hope that we can continue this dialogue. We were honored to have you speak to us. I hope at some point in the future we can connect by video and communicate back to some of your audiences who you're going to establish with your new institution, which we wish you luck with. So please, everyone, join me in thanking Dr. ظریف.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being with you, and I want to ask you, as I did in my introductory remarks, to join me in presenting possibilities, alternatives, forward-looking possibilities in op-eds, in research papers, and the like. And I also look forward to welcoming you either by video link or in person in Tehran. You're not designated here, Daryl. I am designated in the US, so I can't travel to the United States. But you will always be welcome to travel to Iran.
Thank you. I'll have to check with my wife about whether I'm designated or not, but thank you, sir. All right, we will see you once again at some point in the future. Be well. Thanks.